can do it all by yourself. Girl, put on that black dress, that's the one that I like. It ain't even about sex. Girl, I just wanna see you tonight. I'm head over heels and it don't even matter, babe. My homies say I'm tripping. They don't really know what I got. Look at my lady, look at my baby. Ooh, she bad. Driving me crazy. Turn it around one time. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Even when you wake up, baby, you don't even need no makeup. I just wanna spend some time. Let me look in your eyes, I admit I never really knew what love was. Now I know. So let me show you what my love does. So let me boost you. Confidence level on deuce. Girl, you so on point. Ooh, yeah, you got the juice. Oh, I love the way that you walk. I love the way that you look at me. And I'm sorry, baby, my fault. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 hey. Rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 ooh, rock, yeah. Girl, I just wanna admire you. That's all I do. That's all I do. Girl, I just wanna admire you. All I do is think of you. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, rock, yeah. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, rock, ooh. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Stay there all night. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. One time for ladies, do it 'cause we want to. Ain't nobody made me. We gon' break it down one time for the ladies, for the ladies, for the ladies. We gon' break it down one time for ladies, do it 'cause we want to. Ain't fellas, we gon' break it down one time for ladies. Do it 'cause we want to. Ain't nobody made me. We gon' break it down one time for the ladies, for the ladies, for the ladies. We gon' break it down one time for ladies. Do it 'cause we want to. Ain't nobody made me. Snap your fingers, do it still. You can do it all by yourself. Girl, put on that black dress, that's the one that I like. It ain't even about sex. Girl, I just wanna see you tonight. I'm head over heels and it don't even matter, babe. My homies say I'm tripping. They don't really know what I got. Look at my lady, look at my baby. Ooh, she bad. Driving me crazy. Turn it around one time. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Even when you wake up, baby, you don't even need no makeup. I just wanna spend some time. Let me look in your eyes, I admit I never really knew what love was. Now I know. So let me show you what my love does. So let me boost you. Confidence level on deuce. Girl, you so on point. Ooh, yeah, you got the juice. Oh, I love the way that you walk. I love the way that you look at me. And I'm sorry, baby, my fault. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 hey. Rock. Girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 ooh, rock, yeah. Girl, I just wanna admire you. That's all I do. That's all I do. Girl, I just wanna admire you. That's all I do. just wanna admire you. Rock, 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 ooh, rock, girl, I just wanna admire you. Rock, rock, stay there all night. I just edge life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the edge life.
Welcome to the Edge Life 7 podcast, where we help you live a better life. My name is Philip Edge.
And I'm Carrie Edge. And today we have season 2, episode 8. And we're going to continue our discussion about relationships. More specifically, we're going to look at 7 tips to help you develop a positive relationship.
Now, before we jump into the conversation, I want to make sure that you share this out and make sure that you are putting who you are, where you're checking us out from inside of the comments box.
And if you're watching this on replay, please let us know by putting hashtag replay. So let's jump on into this.
Well, we're going to jump into it today. It is that time. And let me just say this. For those of you who were, just in the little holding area, vibing with us.
Pattern.
Yeah, the holding pattern right there, babe. In the holding pattern. We were definitely listening to our homeboy, Jason Stevens. He has a new song out. It's called Admire You. And that has become my theme song for my girl right here. Girl, I just want to admire you. Rock, 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 rock. Hey, that thing was jamming. The song is amazing, and honestly, baby, like if I could write a song and sing a song, like that's what my song would sound like to you. So I just wanna
I know you
admire
put it
you.
out there a couple of times.
Yeah,
this week,
yeah.
so
I've been jamming on that. And for those of you who do not know, Jason Stevens is a friend of ours. He's also the guy who created our Edge Life theme song. So
sure did.
Anytime you hear Edge Life, you're too close to the ledge. That's Jason Stevens also. So please check our brother out. Dude is doing some awesome things.
And where can they find
iTunes, Spotify, all of them.
Okay.
And look, if you have the iTunes account, like you pay for it, man, do me a solid and just go ahead and buy that. $1.29, man. Get the song. The song's popping. The song is popping. I'm telling you, the song is popping. So how you doing this week?
I'm good.
With your fine self.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just, admiring you and all of the hard work that you're doing. Seriously. Yeah. Yeah, doing all right. Other than we had, a little bit of a interesting end to the week. Just sending our hearts and prayers out to those people kind of in the Noonan, Northwest Georgia, Polk County, those areas that were hit really hard by recent storms. So a lot of storm damage. We were swimming in our basement, which is not cool.
Yes.
My office is down there. That's kind of something new we did this year, and man, the rug is just, it's still a swimming pool, even though we try to suck up all the water.
We did our best right now, so
our daughter's room down there, our granddaughter's room down there, so we're mostly dry, so we just have to pray this is not a rainy season. But, we're going to work it out. It was just a little hiccup, but it seems like, we've just had one of those years where it's like every week it's like something like dramatic.
Yeah.
It makes me feel dramatic, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
I
think this year this year is like the key word is resilience and being able to bounce back in spite of all the stuff that you see happening. And I will just say this for those of you watching and viewing, hopefully that you all continue to be resilient, because 2020 was crazy. 2021 has kind of continued the same trek, but the good news is that all of us are still here, and every day we wake up we have opportunity. So I'm excited, although it's been crazy and a whole lot of chaos. I'm still super excited about just where we're going and all the things that we're seeing, because the promise is still real.
Yeah. And I have to remind myself and just share this with everybody. Like, even if you don't feel well or you're not necessarily like feeling it, doesn't mean that you can't choose to be positive. You still can choose that. It's a choice, you know, every single day. And I haven't every day done a good job at choosing that, but you know, you just gotta choose to be positive despite what the situations and circumstances look like, because they don't have to be what's in control. You know, it's not about the situation. It's really about our internalization of the situation. So, you know, we've all seen people and know people who are resilient above and beyond and who can still have a good attitude. You don't know anything is going on with them. So that's what, you know, I'm ever striving. And that doesn't mean that you're like, you know, negating what's going on, you're turning a blind eye. It just means that I choose to be positive in spite of. You know, I have a lot of great things in my life, so I'm not going to complain.
That's right.
Not going to complain.
I felt a song coming up in my Shana now, but I was gonna hold it and not sing it, but I won't complain either. Yeah, that's it. I will not complain. So let me just go ahead and say this before we jump into the session on tonight. Listen, for those of you who are joining us live, please make sure inside of the comments box you put your name, where you're following us, checking us out from. We definitely love to see all of you all and know that you are chiming in today. Jill Blue, we see you. Thank you so much for the compliment. You know, I just feel
watching on your personal page.
I just feel good hanging out with you, and you make me cute because she said we looking cute. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So, baby, let's jump into this thing because we got a lot to discuss tonight. Is we're gonna talk about 7 tips for developing positive relationships. Let me say it again: 7 tips for developing positive relationships. And Theodore Roosevelt, he actually had this quote, and he said, "The most important single ingredient in the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people." And
absolutely,
like when I even heard that, I thought that's it. Oh, that's it right there. Because we have to remember that even in 2021, we're still in this thing that we call the people business. And the people business is real. It ain't going nowhere. And all of us are inside of the people business. So we have to learn and understand, how do we develop positive relationships with people, whether it's your spouse, whether it's working relationships, whatever it is, they need to be positive relationships. And that's what we're going to be talking about on today.
Yeah, everything in the world happens through relationships. You know, you think about, you know, maybe the job you had now or maybe your first job, all those sorts of things came through the relationships that you have. When I think about it, you know, what's the difference between, you know, a place that you like to go and eat and a place that you're like, I don't know. You know,
it's
when
really
they say something like, hi, welcome to.
Yeah, so-and-so. Exactly.
Yeah, you're like, wow. You know, even though I don't have a relationship with them, like, they welcome me.
Feeling it. I'm feeling it.
Versus, you know, the people that have their head down to the counter, like, you know, just doing whatever they do and not acknowledging you. It makes a huge difference. That's why, you know, the Chick-fil-A way, that's why they do what they do, because it gives you a feeling of relationships.
Exactly. Exactly. And even when I think about a place like Chick-fil-A, it's the relationships, you know, it's something as simple as I was reading some research this week, they're talking about knowing someone's name. You know, when you go to a Starbucks or when you go to a Chick-fil-A and they say, can I get a name for the order? And they call you by name. There's something about that. Your order. Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's like a science and there's a strategy behind all those little things that they do. And it's all about relationships. Even if you look at, I'm giving lots of shouts out to Chick-fil-A, but really they are a great example of that. When I look at their current commercials. Yeah. You know, even when they were doing the social distancing stuff, like on the couch and stuff, they're talking about the actual relationships at certain stores across the country. Right. You know, even the one where the dog comes and gets the food bag and takes it to the vehicle. You know, all of those things, it's all about relationship. And they give the dog a treat. Yeah. So remember, like, everything revolves around relationships. And if you don't feel strong in that area, you definitely need to be checking this out, because positive, healthy relationships that's the secret sauce of life, because none of us can do this alone. If we could have, God wouldn't looked at man, and it wasn't just man's fault. Come on. And said, it's not good for you to be alone, bro. That's right. So that's right. It isn't good for any of us to be alone. And if you don't believe me, look at what happened to a lot of people in 2020 and what still continues to stretch on. So let's jump on into this and let's look at the first thing.
Yeah. So let's jump into it, right?
Yeah.
So number one, the first one that we want to look at and talk about is being able to accept and celebrate differences.
Man,
let me say it again.
So important.
Being able to accept and celebrate differences. You know, I know one of the biggest challenges that we experience in relationships is that we're different, right? So we can perceive the world in many different ways, but at the end of the day, when we see differences, many times we look at that as a stumbling block, and it becomes a stumbling block to building relationships because we look and we say, well, if we're different, we can't build relationship, and we want to dismiss that because the truth of the matter is, for us, we need to be able to accept each other, and we need to be able to celebrate the differences because the differences is what brings the diversity. And when we have that diversity of thought, diversity of feeling, diversity of people, that's what makes the gumbo super good. Okay. When you can put all, you see how I did that? That's what makes, you put all the ingredients in there, you know, you put a little this and you put a little that, and you can say, what's it do? Say, shoo-wee, you know what I'm saying? So, boom. Exactly. That's the thing, you know, and we're able to just accept those differences because differences are not bad.
No.
You know, differences just are that. It's just different. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I've had a lot of the really great relationships that I've had. Most of them, I'm very different from the other person.
Right.
I mean, personality-wise, we have a lot of similarities, but there's obviously a lot of things that are different about us. So it's so important that you just, you know, there's such a richness.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I look at life. Like, I want to surround myself with people who are different than me, and I want to celebrate them because I think that makes me better. I mean, I've had some great experiences. I had an admin assistant who was born in a Palestinian city.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I went to her wedding. You know, she was Muslim.
Yes.
I'm Christian, you know, very different. And, you know, we were great friends. We found common ground.
Found the common ground.
And that's the important thing, is that if you want to truly accept the other person and celebrate them and your relationship together and truly accept, you know, you need to be able to find that common ground and always go back to that and not fear the things that are different.
Right.
And I think sometimes the world, we as people miss out on so much of the good stuff.
Yeah.
The gumbo, because there's things in it that we never tried before. And I'm like, I ain't eating no crawfish, but you don't know what you're missing if you're not eating the crawfish.
Right.
So, you know, you want to celebrate those things and dive in and experience them.
I think you said something that's critical. You know, we have to be willing to dive in. You know, people say this all the time. They say many times, the thing that we fear is the unknown.
Yeah.
The thing that we fear is the uncertainty. So because we don't know, we're like, we become a little leery. You know, my wife is notorious for what I call making me expand my palate.
Oh yeah.
That simply just means she makes me eat stuff that I probably
I'm a little
wouldn't
bit of a foodie.
normally eat. Right? Listen. If you just give me some burgers, some French fries, and some chicken, like I'm cool. I can rock all day.
Part. Like, you just give him some chicken and he'll be good.
I'm good.
Don't put anything green with it.
Right.
You know, if y'all ever invite us to eat, just, you know, meat
just
is
regular.
good.
Just the regular. Just the
he'll
regular.
eat a steak, but you know, can't be too red on the inside of it. You know me, I just need you to make sure it's not mooing.
That's
flip
right.
it over and, you know.
And it's interesting because, you know, in our 20 mini years, I said that 20 mini, right?
20 minutes.
In our 20 mini years, y'all, by the way, we're going to be celebrating 21 years, April 28th. Hold on, let me, I got to give that some of that right there. And just a round of applause, baby, round of applause.
Our 20th was a little bit stolen.
Yeah.
Well, we went on an early trip, and literally, like, the day we came home is the day, like, all the world
Everything
shut down
broke.
for the most part.
Yep.
Or shortly thereafter. But our 20th was kind of stolen a little bit. We went on a church conference, and that's where we celebrated. Oh, y'all had an ant on my arm. And we celebrated there, but, you know, we didn't really, like, you know, we were, I don't know. I just felt like there was a lot of things that were stolen away from last year. So we coming
back. We coming
party
back.
Like it's 20. want to say 2021, 1999.
We bring it back. We bring it back.
Yeah.
So when we think about it, that this first thing right here is really about accepting and celebrating the differences of others. There's so much richness that people bring to the table. Yeah, witchness. There's so much richness that people bring to the table, and we need to make certain that if we're trying to build positive relationships, we dive in and we lean into those differences, and we really try to figure out, like, what are they all about?
And I think what's so important with this, like, listen to me, if your relationships look very homogenous.
Oh, come on now. Yep.
Like, stretch yourself. Yep. Like, force yourself. It's got to be intentional. Like, force yourself outside of that.
That's good.
And seek someone who is totally not like you.
That's good.
To develop a relationship with them. And I promise you, that relationship within itself is going to be so enriching and just really bring you to life. Yeah.
Yep. Well, what's the next one?
Number 2 is effective listening, or listening effectively. And this is not listening to respond.
That's right.
This is a very critical skill in which you listen to let the person know that they're supported and that you value them.
Yes.
And it's the most important part of communication, many times, other than the body language, but you're even listening to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you need to be listening to all those things, because it will allow you to really connect with someone so that you can really hear what it is that they're saying. And you can reflect back to them like, oh, hey, is what I hear you saying is this. Right? And be active in your listening. Like you're doing right now. You're and all that. And not just but really
being in there with them.
Being engaged in a conversation so that the person knows that you have a genuine interest and concern for them. I think so many times, like especially in marriage relationships where we've been together for a long time, this is an area where we kind of take this for granted because we have a deep relationship when we've known the person for a long time.
True.
So we don't listen as intentionally. When we're like first in our relationship, we have a tendency to like hang off of every word. Oh, I just love how you mispronounce that. That's so cute. And then like 20 years from that, it's like, boy, if you don't start saying that word right, if you don't stop saying which instead of rich, we're going to have problems, So
I feel like I'm going to have this conversation later on.
No, I'm joking.
It's
really
good.
Playing.
It's good.
But yeah, I think this is something that, it becomes so underrated, because we just spend so much time talking and not really ever listening. We had a situation happen, I think it was last week. So the week before last, our son was in a car accident. We don't know yet because Jack Lake Insurance hasn't decided whether or not, number one, they're at fault, and even though police say that they were at fault, and number 2, whether or not they're going to, total out the vehicle.
Right.
But so that inconveniences us with, there are 7 people, there are 5 drivers, and so that put us down to 4 cars. So, we're a little limited. So we had to make plans.
Yes.
Yes,
we did.
And so there was maybe not some as effective communication, especially like the listening part.
Agreed. Yes.
And you were quick to take the responsibility for that. But it was, kind of frustrating because I felt like, man, I need to coordinate it all myself. And then I realized no, that's not what I need to do. I just need to do my part and make sure, that I encode my message properly so that it's decoded, that you hear it and you're listening to it. And I'm presenting it at a time that's appropriate. That's the other part. If you're sending the message and you want to be listened to effectively, don't, a lot of us sabotage the listening. Because, and it's like a passive aggressive sort of thing where we wait when the moment's not right. And we know that it's not right. But we just want to get a zinger and swing something in. And, we know they're not really listening. You ever just been sitting there and all of a sudden you just get slapped in the face with something and you're like.
I've had something fall on my head, but kind of like that. What just happened?
What just happened?
Yeah, what just happened?
I mean, where do we go from chilling to where did that come from?
Right,
kind of thing.
right.
So, you also, as the person communicating, have a responsibility to ensure that you're bringing forth a communication at a time when it can be heard.
Right.
You know, it's, you know, we always tell people, like, if you are in the midst of like an argument, it's not a fair fight for you to just keep on, you know, bombarding with messages when no one is really listening at the time.
Right. So that listening is a
listening
huge
is
one.
huge.
That's
we don't do
a
it
huge
enough.
one, right?
We
That's
don't do
it.
it
Again, especially as we're talking about things that we can do to build positive and effective relationships, listening is huge. The third one. You ready? Giving people your time, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, that is huge. And I'm going to say this. I will say that giving people your time is one of the biggest gifts that you can give to someone. And this is why. Because time is something that you cannot get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So when you have people who are willing to say, you know what, I'm going to give you my time. You know, I'm going to come and I'm going to sit down with you. We're going to get on the phone. We're going to get on the call, whatever it is. But they're going to give you their time. That's huge. You know what I mean? Especially nowadays, because again, at the end of the day, we only have so much time.
Yeah.
You know, so when somebody gives you the gift of time, again, as a receiver of that gift, we need to recognize that they didn't have to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No. But secondly, as a person who's giving the time, we need to make sure we're utilizing that time in an effective manner to be able to build the relationship in the way that you need to build it.
Yeah, I always let people know, like, especially from work, like if I'm trying to cultivate a relationship with a donor or a partner, something like that, I realize how valuable their time is.
Yes.
And when they give me that gift of their time, I always just, you know, am over top, like letting them know how much I appreciate it, because they're never going to get that hour back, that hour and a half back, whatever the case may be. And so I try to make sure that I'm very intentional with the time so that I don't waste the time.
That's right.
I think 2020 made us realize how important time really was, and spending time with people. You know, today, my mom's birthday is on the 31st, and today, you know, we're still under a lot of restrictions because my mom has stage 4 COPD and emphysema, so she's on oxygen all the time, and not all of us have been fully vaccinated, but we will on Friday.
We coming. High five on that. Yeah. We coming.
So we went very cautiously. The girls, Carson and Zoe, the youngest of the crew, decided to bake a cake and wanted to take that over and drop it off. And, you know, when I was leaving, I still can't hug my mom.
Yeah.
You know, but the time was so precious and so valuable. But like, you got to realize sometimes you're not getting that back. Like, I'll never have that moment again. Yeah. So, you know, take the time and make it worthwhile.
That's
it. Be devoted in the time, put energy into the time.
That's it. I love it, especially with the time thing. You know, when you give that time, like you said, be devoted, be committed, be present in it. You know, really sit down and take time with people. You know, the thing that we have to realize is that personal connection, that's one of the best things that you can do. You know, I was having a conversation with your mom not too long ago, and she was sharing with me with everything happening with the COVID situation and really not being able to get out, you know, just how that's impacted her, because she hasn't really been able to have,
since March.
You know, that personal contact in those relationships. And again, when you don't have it, man, you really recognize and you see.
She's had nobody's time.
That's right.
Because the world has just kind of stopped for her. And she's really concerned about, like, what does that look like afterwards?
Moving forward.
Is she
Absolutely.
Is she going to have anxiety socially? And I totally get that. Completely get that. So we got to give people our time.
It's a gift.
And for some folks, it's more important than others. You know, if that's your love language, quality time.
Come on. We talked about last week, by the way.
We talked about that last week.
You
so
can go check
back.
it. Yeah, go check that out. Go check that out.
Slid that one in. Little
yeah,
shameless
go check
plug
that out
for last week. So yeah. So number 4 is develop your communications, because we've talked a lot about communication. So just understand that this communication is a great tool.
Yes.
But poor communication can destroy something in a heartbeat. If you don't believe me, like, go back to a time when you got a text message. So this is what I love. You got a text message and you read too much into it. So I got a text message from someone and it said, well, if you did it.
Right.
And I'm like,
if I did it.
Well, excuse me, I just said that I did. You know, and for a minute there, I was like, But then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, oh, that's just like a general kind of response. The person wasn't saying, oh, you didn't send it. If you really did send it, then I got it or whatever. But we have to be really careful to make sure that we are not rushing in our communication. And listen, because there are so many communication tools in this world, we have more now than we ever had. Right. Make sure you're using the proper one. All right. If you're going to break up with somebody, you know, nowadays people can break up on text message. You couldn't do that.
You couldn't do that back in the day. No.
Like you had to at least pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Or you maybe had to write a note in class or something like that. Right. But now, which I guess is kind of like a text message, it was just longer. And we didn't write with like, you know, BTW, you know, like what the heck is that? So, you know, just make sure you're using the right tool. Right. And, you know, spend some time thinking about what you want to say and like crucial conversations.
Absolutely.
You know, anytime there's conflict, like rehearse that. There's nothing wrong with you rehearsing that or getting feedback from somebody else about what you want to say. Communication is key, y'all. Yep. Philip always talks about when he told his grandmother, oh, that's hot. And she says, don't touch it. And he's like, no, like it's hot. Like it's cool. Right. You know, that was really confusing. Hot and cool and, you know, whatever.
Well, you spoke about feedback. Yeah. And I think that's really number 5. And that's what we want to talk about. We want to say, learn to give and take feedback. What we have to know is that feedback, and honestly speaking, feedback, this is what I say, feedback is the food of progress. And many times it doesn't taste good, right? No. It doesn't taste good, but it can be very good. So we have to make sure that we know and understand how to give that constructive feedback so that it helps the other person tap into their potential and they can move forward with that positive change, and it can be mutually beneficial for both of you. But you have to know how to give that feedback. Well, you can't go up to somebody and just be like, hey, you're horrible. You know, you really got to be.
You can,
well, you could.
I don't think you're going to have much of a relationship. No, if your goal is to try to build a relationship.
Exactly.
You have to spend some time with the feedback.
And like if we're in the relationship business, then we need to understand, you know, how to do that and how to take time to say, if you like something, you didn't like this, give them constructive feedback. And remember, the reason that you're giving the feedback is not to like beat them up. The reason that you're giving the feedback is so that you can get a different outcome.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing.
And, you know, in management, like at first I found that so hard.
Yeah.
You know, and I was, I've been in management since I was like 22 years of age. You know, in the beginning, I made a lot of mistakes, and one of them was that just not giving feedback at regular intervals. You know, most people really do want to know how they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't just like spring something on them, you know, like at the last second. Like you're ready to fire them, and they're like, well, when did all this happen?
What just happened? Yeah,
That's like the proverbial like conversation, you know, I want a divorce, and the other person had no idea. Like, you know,
I thought everything was great.
A rock or what? I thought everything was wonderful. So, you know, it's so important to give feedback and give it regularly. But even more important than that, well, I don't know if it's more important. I think it's equally important is that your receptivity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good also.
Because feedback has a mutual benefit.
It's a gift that somebody's given to you.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, don't ask for it and then be like, no.
Exactly.
So don't let your pride, like, get in your way.
Exactly. It's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine, one of the DJ here locally, DJ D-Lo, and he messaged me earlier, and he was giving me some feedback, and he's like, hey, brother, I don't know if you realized it, but your camera was on the other day and you had a blooper moment. I was like, I had a what? I was like, was it Facebook or was it YouTube? He's like, so he tells me, he's like, oh, it was YouTube. And I was literally like, brother, why didn't you tell me about this? You know what I'm saying? But then I had to pause for a second. I was like, well, first of all, thank you for telling me. So I went back and I searched, and he helped me find out where it was. And I deleted that one. As it definitely was a blooper moment. But I'm sitting there saying,
was it a word?
It was a blooper moment. It was a bad situation. It was like a bad situation. But the funny thing is,
you're just glad somebody like really checked it out that closely.
Right.
You know?
Well, I'm glad that I have somebody who is at least close enough to me who could give me that feedback and say, hey, by the way.
Right. Don't be that passive person that lets somebody walk around with like a booger hanging out of their nose or like, you know, spinach in their teeth and they're like teaching the whole class. I'll never forget Miss Banta. In, I think it was 6th grade, she had chalk dust. Y'all see, young kids don't know anything about that.
Like chalk.
All over her backside. And it was all over. Like, she just must have rubbed her bottom, like, you know. And so I try to like, hey, you got, you know, and I'm just, you know. Then finally I just had to say, you got chalk all over your back. I probably said butt, because, I mean, I'm a 6th grader. I mean, you know, she got kind of like, her feelings got kind of hurt, but, you know, I didn't want her to walk around like that. Then one other time.
That's good.
The teacher had her skirt stuck up in her underwear. Y'all, it was okay. I went to all-girls school. It was okay, but it wasn't okay.
Yeah.
I mean, please, y'all, like, give people feedback when they need it. Stop being all passive or passive-aggressive. You passive-aggressive people just sitting there laughing. I'm like, now, you know, if it was you, you'd want someone to be like,
you got to give people the feedback when they need it the most, like right then. Don't wait. Don't wait. Don't wait
till they get in the mirror, like, you know, afterwards, and you're like, man, all y'all folk call me your friends.
Exactly.
I thought we was friends.
Exactly.
But you let me go out there and talk with my zipper down for about an hour. Thanks. Appreciate you. Number 6 is to learn to trust more. This is something that's really hard for a lot of people, because a lot of people have experienced, you know, some very traumatic things in the course of their lifetime. And, you know, it's hard to lend trust. You know, especially when you have
trust issues.
From an early age. And so you kind of operate in life like not trusting first rather than trusting first. And and so I always tell people, like, you need to, I was actually just having this conversation just this afternoon. I was telling the individual, you know, someone lied to him about some money, a money situation. And he doesn't really have that deep of a relationship with the guy. And I said, well, you know, he's like, I just don't really know how I feel about the whole thing. I don't really want the money back. It's more of the principle of the matter. And I said, absolutely. I mean, you trust someone until, you know, they really give you a reason to like start, you know, to kind of have to double check them, you know. But the biggest thing with trusting others is to be trustworthy yourself.
Come on, that's good right there. That's good.
So
yeah, that deserves one of those.
If you lend your trust, that builds respect.
That's good. Yeah.
So people will trust you when you respect them because you're being trustworthy. So trust is huge in relationships, and a lot of times we when we counsel people, you know, there's just been a violated trust. And I think trust is really so very, very key, because we have to have trust in everything. Like everything we've talked about, communication,
gotta have trust,
listening, feedback, spending time. Like if I'm not really sure if I trust you, I don't want to spend quality time with you. I'm not going to listen to you if I don't trust you. I don't want to listen to your lies. So, you know, trust is really very much a cornerstone in relationships.
That's huge. That's huge. And let's get to the 7th one.
Okay,
let's get to the
number 7.
Number 7, develop empathy. Develop
not
empathy.
Sympathy, y'all.
Yeah, not sympathy, but develop empathy. And when I think about empathy, I think about this expression that we've all heard. And we said this: people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
So important.
So when we think about empathy and understanding, right, those things kind of build on top of each other, and it builds this thing that we call connection. And that, at the end of the day, that is what we want. Empathy also means being able to like read somebody else's situation, find out what's going on with them.
Beyond the words.
Right.
Yeah.
Like literally, especially when those people are like, oh no, I'm good. But hey, wait a minute, dog. You're not good. What you mean? Well, I can tell beyond the words, beyond the expressions, what's really going on, and really being able to sit down and have those kinds of conversations. I'm having a hard time talking.
That's okay.
Today.
Witches and sations.
I'm having a hard time talking today. But
that's all right.
But again, it's about being able to empathize with people and understand and literally get inside of their shoes and understand what's going on.
And, you know, to that, on the flip side of that, because it takes two to be in a relationship.
That's right.
You need to allow people to enter in that space. Mm-hmm. That's something that's hard for me. Like I don't, with these health challenges that I've experienced, I kind of feel like people won't necessarily understand. And so I don't really kind of let them into that space.
Right.
And so, but at the same time, I want that like level of connection, just understand me. Like, I know you can't feel what I feel, but just try to understand me. And it means so much to me. I mean, we had someone after church just stop us and was like, no, really.
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
Yeah.
How can I pray for you?
That was awesome.
How are you all really doing?
Right.
And sometimes you have to have that how are you really doing moment. And then that turns into not only empathy, but spending the quality time, listening to them, accepting kind of where they're at, building that level of respect and trust. So I'm just like, I'm reeling down the 7.
Yeah. And all that happened.
They're all connected.
Right. So listen, remember what we said. We are in the people business. I don't care what you do, where you go, if you're in a marriage relationship, if you say it don't matter. Listen, we're in the people business. So if we're going to be in the business of people, we have to make sure that we develop positive relationships. And let's just run them down for them real quick, honey.
Yeah. Number 1 is to accept and celebrate differences.
Number 2 is to listen actively.
That's right. Number 3, give people your time, quality time with you.
I was going to sing that too. Okay. Number 4, develop your communication skills.
Number 5, learn to give some feedback.
Number 6, learn to trust more.
And finally, number 7, develop empathy.
And when you do that, you can also be in the business of people because we all
sauce.
are. That's the secret sauce, man. That is the secret sauce. Because here's the thing. If you can recognize and realize that you're in the people business, it will shift your perspective on things. And you'll begin to look at things totally different from the way that we look at them many times, especially in our Western culture where everything is about me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you all, but I read the book, The Purpose-Driven Life, and I'll never forget this book. Changed my life because the first sentence of the book says it ain't about you. And that right, I was like, what do you mean? It's not about me. He's like, it ain't about you. And the book goes on to explain why. So I'm sharing with you right now, it ain't about us, y'all. It's so much bigger than us. And it's so much better to walk in relationship and fellowship with other people. And that's what this thing is all about. I see my twin sisters are on here. Be-Love Inc., what's going on? Wow, amazing advice. I see y'all. Kara, what's going on?
She was laughing at us.
Yeah, she over laughing at us.
Probably laughing at your witches.
Probably. We had our friend Fabricio from Brazil on tonight. So what's going on?
Janeiro.
Yeah.
Hey.
What is going on?
It must be nighttime there.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And I'm just gonna say this one more time before we get out of here. Y'all make sure y'all go check out my homeboy, man, Mr. Jason Stevens, because his song is really, really jamming. Like I love it. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, let me give y'all a taste. Let me see if I can I give him a taste? I don't even know if I can give him a taste no more. But this thing, hold on, let me do it. Let me do it. Yeah. This right here. Woo! That thing right there. Hey, listen. This is a HIT hit.
For the fellas.
This look. I've been singing this thing. I've been singing it to my girl. I've been singing it to my boo. I'm like, hey girl, I've been singing that thing. Woo! This is jamming. So anyways, with that being said, man, we really appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. Go build some positive relationships with people, because at the end of the day, we're in the relationship business. We'll see y'all next week, right?
That's
Same time?
Right. And if you like this content, you better go check out YouTube and get you some more.
It's on the popping, y'all. Edge Life.
Edge Life.
We'll talk to y'all later.
Peace out.
Peace.
Edge life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the edge life.